Doug.
Hey, Ray.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am great. It was so great to hear you do that again. That was Doug Schneider doing the opening monologue in the dark from the Broadway and live arts smash hit, Drowsy Chaperone. It's such a great show. We're gonna talk about that show. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff that happened this season. Hey, everybody watching on Facebook, welcome to Live Arts 30 in 30, where we are covering our 29 seasons that we've accomplished into our 30th and where we're going next. This is episode 21, where we will be focusing on the season from 2010 to 2011. We have Doug Schneider here. We also soon will have Jane Scatena and two featured surprise guests, Gary and Edward Warwick White. No longer a surprise, I guess, if I gave their names.
Yeah, you gave it away.
I also want to take a moment to thank one of our community partners. And tonight we're going to thank Breadworks. Breadworks. Go to breadworks.org. Breadworks makes amazing bread. Go online. They have a bread schedule. Like, they make specific breads on specific days. So you can order online. There's a phone number. You can get bread from them. So Breadworks, thank you very much for supporting Live Arts, for supporting arts and live theater in Charlottesville. And now I turn to my friend Doug Schneider. And Doug, you were at Live Arts when I came and auditioned and was cast in my first show. So it seems like you've always been around. But can you tell us how you got involved? And I mean, you've done so much. Some highlights of your involvement with Live Arts.
Yeah, I started. Actually, I was thinking about this today. That I did my very first live performance in Charlottesville in 1993 at Live Arts, because I had seen Jack Donahue actually in his cabaret in, I guess it was 1992. And I really loved the space. So I really wanted to perform there. And I did a little concert. And then that same year, John Gibson asked me to vocal direct Three Penny Opera. Mm-hmm. So I did that. And then in 1994, I did Chicago, vocal directed. And then in 1995, I got on stage. I was in La Cage aux Folles. That was my very first on stage thing. And then after that, it just kind of snowballed. And I did a lot of shows. And the last thing I did, which was in 2011, I guess they'll be talking about that tomorrow, is The Producers. And so between 2008 and 2012, essentially, I was really, really busy at Live Arts. I did a lot of stuff. I did Sweeney Todd, Gypsy, Drowsy Chaperone, a big concert, 6 Degrees of Separation, and then The Producers. And another concert. So I've done a lot at Live Arts, and I feel like I'm really one of the old timers. Worked on their second musical. So it was a lot of fun. So I've seen a lot, the old space, the new space. I've directed a couple of shows there, and it's been been really great.
It's great to have known you for the past 17 years.
I saw you in your first show.
Yeah, very, very child. I remember you hanging around rehearsals.
Well, I came to a preview. I mean, like to a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, I think Boomy had asked you to come in to take a look, because we're
really good friends. So I was like, I had to come, and you were amazing. You and Catherine Ogden. It was the first time I ever saw you or Catherine Ogden. Yeah, and wound up working with her a lot. So
Yeah, and
you and I've only been in one show together.
That's right. Yeah.
And it wasn't at Live Arts.
And the Fantastics up at Four County Players,
that's what I mean. We worked together on Drowsy, but we've never been in a show together other than the Fantastics.
Well, speaking of Drowsy, I would like to bring in Drowsy Chaperone herself, the multi-talented Jane Scatena.
Am I ready?
Shows up with a drink in her hand.
Okay. I'm still drowsy.
What, do I have a drink here?
Still drowsy.
The time machine hasn't changed.
Yeah. Well, I think I should explain. Some people say Drowsy Chaperone, but Drowsy was a musical within a comedy. and it highlighted this fictional musical that took place during Prohibition, and drowsy was a euphemism for tipsy. And so the chaperone was never sober.
Never sober. She always had this in her hand.
It's always had it.
Through the entire show.
So Jane, welcome.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
thank you for the special gift that you helped us make for the end of this episode. Little teaser to stay to the end, everyone. So Jane, we just heard Doug talk about how he got involved with live arts, and how did you get involved with live arts?
Well, I was living in Northern California, and I had just wrapped a summer rep season, and I just filmed in LA a national commercial. And then the next thing I know, we're on a flight to Charlottesville. We got there in August '97. And the first thing I did was, what's the local theater scene? And I saw an audition for Shepard's play. So I called Live Arts and I said, is this a Sam Shepard play? Because I know Sam Shepard and Jessica Lange live here. And they go, no, it's the Shepard's play. Shakespeare. I went, forget it. So, but anyway, they said, forget about it. So anyway, they said, well, bring down your resume and your headshot. And that's actually when I met John Gibson and Lydia Haram. So I gave it to them, and the next thing you know, I got a call from Kristen Keithley, who directed Monster Therapy in the Coffee House series. And that was a lot of fun. Bill Lasore was Godzilla. I was the therapist in Monster Therapy. But the one thing I want to say about it, I had only worked in big houses before that, 600-800 seats or more.
Right.
So this was the first time I ever worked in an intimate setting like that. And this is the original Live Arts, '97. And I really didn't know how that was going to be. And it ended up that I adored it. I mean, I loved it so much. You could feel the pulse of that audience. You could feel them breathing. They're right there with you. There weren't lights in your eyes blinding you so you couldn't even, see the audience past the orchestra pit. So anyway, I really love that a lot. Did a lot of shows until I left in 2012. But I did a small show, Edgar, and then I met Doug at a gala. I went there on my own. It was the only ticket left, and of course I had a gold lame gown on and the long white opera gloves. And I'd seen Doug in falsettos, and so I wanted to work with him. And so I introduced myself, and it was going wow.
Wow.
Both going wow. After that, I auditioned for him actually for Once on This Island and got the part of Asaka, and it was so much fun, and the choreography was great. Ricky Porter, yeah. We were dancing barefoot. I mean, we're on an island, so, that was a blast. And had to hold a high A for 20 counts. Can't forget that one.
Yeah. Fun.
And then after that, I did Kiss of the Spider Woman, John Gibson, Greg Harris, Ken Ellis. That was fabulous. Another vocal challenge because it was Chita Rivera, vocals, and that's like an octave and 3 notes. If you're a musician, you know how low that is. Really low.
I think we said it was a baritone role.
Oh my God, it was crazy hard. And then after that, I did another Gibson show, The Women, where I can't remember how big that cast was, but I felt like I had 20 or 25 new best friends. Worked with Cindy Burke. God, she's just a great comedic talent. So much fun. I got to take my clothes off in slow motion behind Daria and tried not to upstage her, but I had a bodysuit on, actually 3 bodysuits before, because it was a bathtub scene. But that was a lot of fun. And then after The Women was Gypsy. And Tessitura, one of my favorite roles. I've done it a few times, and Gotta Get a Gimmick is just hilarious and so much fun working with everybody in that cast. Also directed by John Gibson. That was his last show, right, Doug?
Yeah.
At Live Arts, so that was very poignant. And then after that, I did The Drowsy Chaperone, which met all of you. Well, I already knew Doug, but Ray and Ed, Gary, Kim, I mean, I could go on and on. I loved everybody in that show, and we'll talk more about that, but that was a dream show. Not only the cast, but the writing, the music, choreography was spot on, brilliant. And well, during this time, I'd also went on the board of directors in 1998, and I served for a little bit over 10 years. So, you know, I felt like I was a pretty integral part in getting the new theater built, and really supported that in many ways. Doug and I did a lot of fundraisers together. You remember we did the 9/11 fundraiser? That was so sad.
Oh, that was heavy. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was big.
You and I were the first ones to ever sing in the Paramount.
Right, that's right.
I was still a wreck.
I was on that board of directors, and actually we should have always done Follies there. I always thought that would have been perfect.
Yeah, it would have been great.
I was still a wreck. Also during that time, I sang with a 16-piece band, and I took them into the studio and did a CD, recorded a CD. So I did a big show to release that, and did a really nice concert to benefit Live Arts, which was great. And then my last show was Hairspray in 2012. And boy, that was tough. Lydia Horan directed the show. Was tough.
Lydia was tough.
She's hard. She's just hard to work with.
No, Lydia Horan was fabulous.
No, she's
What was
amazing.
actually a little of a challenge was dancing against those young girls, because they were like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
oh my God, they could dance. And every night, Jerry and I'd be like, Jerry's like, we can do this. We can do this. And then the closing night was, a lot of people didn't know I was moving. And so the cast presented me with a poster after final bows. And Doug was actually in the audience that night and came out and said a few words, none of which I can remember because I was crying so hard. But it was really, I mean, I was excited to go back to California, but you know, I loved my theater family, and it was really tough saying goodbye.
Yeah. Well,
We're all together here. Isn't that great?
Here. Yeah.
And I keep watching you guys. Just know that I'm sitting here in Monterey. I'm watching. I can't see your shows, but I see what you're kind of up to.
See what's going on. I guess I was you said about the entire cast of Drowsy Chaperone, and it really was one of those shows where the entire cast and the crew and the musicians,
Everything.
We'll talk about it later, because I want to get into the whole season, and then we can get through the whole season, and then we can go back to talking about Drowsy.
It was a great season, though. That was, it was a really special season.
Yeah, it really was.
Challenging, because it was the first season after John had left. So, you know, there was a lot of big expectations and a lot, not fear is not the right word, but a lot of people thinking, you know, because, you know, John was a brilliant force, and such a good force, and then he wasn't there, and people thought like, well, what are we going to do now? And I remember when John Gibson left, I remember his goodbye party, he said that a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's not how John would do it, or that's not the way that John would want it. And to those people, I say, shut up. I'm glad you remember that. I remember that now that you did.
I was like, what?
Was it a goodbye party?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there was a big, the day.
Everyone in town was invited, Jane.
I was still living there.
You were. I think it was the day before it was literally his last day at Live Arts. And there was this celebration in the what's now called the Gibson. In those days, it was called the Downstage. And and he did say that. It was great. I forgot about that.
Let me keep this
probably drowsy, and I don't remember.
I know. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we started that season with the dishwashers, which among other things is just one of the shows that really makes me happy to be involved with Live Arts, because it's not a show that a typical community theater would do, and it was brilliant. And
it really was. It was and Amanda McCraven.
Amanda McCraven directed some of the she's been on this 30 and 30 before, and she's just a powerhouse of a director. But beside her in this picture, in that last picture we saw, we don't have to go back to it. Oh, well, we were going back.
We did.
Shannon, you're the bomb.
Yeah, is Mary Butcher, and she was the scenic designer for this. And it's sometimes that upstage gets transformed into such it's such an experience. It's like an art installation of a set, and that requires someone like Mary to come in almost all night long, to paint all night long, to build all night long. And of course, during this show, Grady Smith was the TD. And just here's a foot coming out of the dishwasher.
I don't remember.
Don't remember exactly what
Is that a joke? That's funny.
Probably Jigsaw's entrance. You know?
Yeah, maybe it might have been. Danny Murphy and Jigsaw and Tim McNamara. Oh my God. Some really powerhouse performances in that. It was incredible.
How did they get the choreographed dishwasher dance in there too?
Well, you got to do it.
Yeah. So this is this kicked off this season, and was just alive. The show was just alive.
I think it was one of the first shows Scott Dunn was in. He had just started there, I think, in 2008 or 9.
Yeah, maybe.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he a tech director?
Yeah, no, he was in this show. He stage managed a lot, I know, and has, and is still, I think, or was right before everything closed down. But yeah, he was in this one.
Yeah.
No,
I'm drowsy. I don't remember this show. Do I?
Nah, it kind of came and went. This show, I saw this on Broadway in 2006 because a friend of mine said, you have to see it. I was in town visiting for like 3 nights, and he said, you have to go. So I went and I grabbed a ticket. When those days you could do that. And I sat in the orchestra with a friend, and the show started, and I thought, I have to do this show. I mean, the first line, I was like, I have to do it. And then by the end of the show, I thought, we have to do it. So I was really happy when they decided to do it. And then I got the part, which I was really excited about. And everyone kept saying to me, why do you want to play a part that doesn't sing? And I said, because it's such a great role. I mean, it's such a great thing. And the whole thing, we had the most incredible cast, just incredible people. And that was Kristen Baltus's first show. Yeah. John Carden musical directed, but she was the orchestra leader.
Much fun to work with. I mean, just anything you needed. Kristen.
Brilliant. Yep. Oh yeah. And I had 2 ugly sweaters.
I had a lot of costumes.
You did. Everyone did, didn't they?
A lot of fast costume changes.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And Miller Susan was in this.
Yeah.
I think this was Miller's first show at Live Arts, right?
And I think she's second cloud.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think she's the tall, willowy one. The tall, willowy cloud.
Speaking, I mean, costumes were amazing. Trisha Emlet did the costumes.
And Amy Goffman.
Amy Goffman, yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
the infamous spider pants.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And all that food that Carrie Moran made, and Alice got to put a cupcake in her mouth, or got a cupcake shoved in her mouth every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much
we had so much fun. And the thing about, we'll talk more about this, but the thing that I loved about this was that the audience for me was the other actor in the show. They were the other character that I got to relate to, because I didn't relate to anybody on stage other than, talking to the audience about all of these actors who were playing these characters that were popping out of every part of my apartment. So it was really really interestingly conceived piece. It was just so brilliant and so much fun.
It was really fun to watch as a performer. You're not supposed to, but you can kind of see,
Sure.
the audience reactions and stuff. And a lot of times if I wasn't the lead singer in something, and from the aside, you could see their jaws dropping on the floor because everything was so shocking. It was just so.
It was unexpected, yeah.
And every one of those actors delivered what they needed to deliver. And working with Chris Patrick as Adolfo.
Oh my God.
He would throw himself around.
Brilliant.
And I have to be rolled out in a chaise, and Adolfo jumps on me, flops on me. I mean, it's just like, whoa. He was so much fun.
And this was Ed Warwick's first, Ed Warwick White now, his first show. And he and Nick Heiderstadt played the gangsters. The gangsters who were, pastry chefs.
Chop the nuts.
Chop the nuts. Toledo Surprise.
Oh my
God. Ken Waller and Linda Zuby. Oh my God. We'll talk more. All right. Start this off, Ray. The Giver.
Teen show. That was a fabulous teen show. Yeah. Beautiful sets.
Beautiful.
Will Drucker directed it.
Will Drucker, yep. Daniel Neal was the lead. There's some Taylor Short was in it. Some really beautiful teens, great performances. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just to me lovely. I want to say lovely. Maybe that's because I'm coming off of drowsy, but the work and the attention and the quality of the work that comes out of the teen shows. You would often hear like, "Oh, a theater's doing a teen show," but this show, and Daniel Neal especially, it was like he was born to play that role.
Yeah.
I will always go to see something that's called a teen show at Live Arts because it's great. That's why.
I mean, that was a stunning scene.
Yeah, look at that. See, this is the upstage again.
The upstage, yeah.
Transformed,
Which is now the Founders, yeah.
Different into a whole different space.
Gorgeous. Chris Baumer did these lights. They're just absolutely exquisite. Yeah, it was a beautiful show. He was wonderful.
Another beautiful show.
Yep. Amazing. Yeah. Some really great performances and really interesting script.
Oh yeah, this is a great thing too, because Lana was in it, and this happens. This is the same could be said for the two of you too. Is that we have it just seems like Catherine Ogden and Satch and all these other people who are or were professional actors happen to be in Charlottesville for a couple years, and they do shows at Live Arts. She was great. The cast was great. The set, I wish you could see more of the set here because it was
I do too.
House inside an iceberg. So
who did that? I'm looking at the set design. I'm looking for the
Robert
set design here.
Yeah.
Set design was Robert Almanza.
Yeah.
Was that his first show? I think it was.
It may have been, but
was it? Maybe not. I could be wrong.
The set director was Jennifer Almanza.
Oh, and did Jennifer directed? Did you High School Musical?
Oh.
No. Mark Valahovic directed High School Musical.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
She did direct a teen show. I remember talking to her about that. About
did.
like what a great time it was, and to bring this together. So yeah, this too. This is on the downstage. This type of show that is really like an art piece.
Yep.
Laura
Reichert directed.
Laura Reichert directed it. Yeah, she may have been a grad student at the time.
She was, I think.
And that's another great thing too. Is with UVA there, we have this new fresh talent that comes in too every 3 years, and some of them, many of them, almost all of them.
She ran the summer camps for a little while for the teens.
Oh yeah,
because I did one with her one summer. It was really fun. She was great. Kids loved her.
Between UVA drama department and Live Arts has always been really great.
Yeah. Well, Bob Chapel's directed a few shows there, and Lee Kennedy has done some lighting. Tom Bloom's designed sets. It's a nice family. But what I remember about this show was Lana Young was just amazing. She was amazing.
Yeah. And so and then this is Mapping the Dark, and Mapping the Dark is basically Roz Casey had this art project.
Fran Smith directed.
And then the art project was turned into a performance art piece.
Yeah.
And gave a whole new like a birth to a whole new audience of people who could see this work. And it really was a trip to a museum, but like a trip inside of an installation art piece with live actors. Almost looks like
a fabulous concept. I noticed that Jerry Sherman was in that.
Yep.
She was in The Women with me.
And my former landlord, Lisa Green and Lawrence Levine. Remember Lawrence Levine, Jane?
I remember them, yeah.
He did the sound for Once on This Island. Well, he was a great sound designer, and he would occasionally do sound at Live Arts, and it was always spectacular. And I don't think Lisa was an actor. I'd forgotten that. And she was in this.
That's a fairly big cast.
Yeah, it's huge. And a lot of new people whose names I didn't recognize looking at the cast list when they started.
Fran's a wonderful director to work with.
And as a, what do you call it, a stalwart of Live Arts. God, she was a founder, for God's sake.
tour de force herself.
6 degrees of separation.
I loved doing this show. I was so lucky I got in this. I was really happy. I wasn't going to audition, and then Matt Jocelyn, who was then the new executive director, asked me to audition. And I'd always wanted to work with Betsy, and I'd never worked with Betsy Tucker. And we had talked about it over the years, like, why haven't we worked together? So when I auditioned, she cast me, and I was really glad because I'd never worked with Kay Ferguson either. And I'd known Kay forever, but we'd never been on stage together. And it was a huge cast for a straight play. As Betsy said, it's this weird piece that starts very intimately, kind of gets big in the middle, and then goes back to being really intimate at the end. And it was such a cool piece. And the set was this piece of art. It was really a very interesting and
There's Marty Moore was
compelling.
in the slide.
And Randy Clark.
Randy Clark.
And that's Michael Goldstein. And I can't remember everyone else. I'm so bad.
No, it's Alex Davis in the background there.
Yep.
Alex Davis.
It was my second show with Alex Davis. He and I did falsettos together in 1997. We hadn't done a show together since then. It was really fun. There were some UVA kids and Alex, Alan Van Housen.
Yeah. I did Guys and Dolls with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Lance Lemon was the lead, and Kay and I were married in the show. That's David Becker down there with the phone. Yeah, it was a wonderful time. We had a really, really great time doing this show.
Yeah, it just came up in my memories yesterday on Facebook.
I know. It's so sweet.
Break a leg, Doug. Opening night. Zombie prom. That was fabulous.
Fabulous show. Brie Luck.
Great. Yeah, it's Christine Ramsey. She was in Hairspray. She had the lead in that.
Yeah.
Tremendous. Was it the guy who played? Where is it? Noah Grable.
Yeah, no. Oh, he was fabulous.
Did a fabulous job.
He wound up being in the producers, which they'll talk about tomorrow, but he was, I loved working with him.
Yeah, it was great.
Such a joy.
And Danny Wagner.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Wagner's son. Christina Ramsey.
Yeah.
She was amazing. She was in Hairspray, right?
I just said that.
Oh, sorry. I can't hear. What? I'm old. I'm deaf.
Yeah, she was fabulous in this, as was she in Hairspray. I mean, and a joy to work with.
Noah's got very big boobies. just noticed that. I said to Brie afterwards, I loved this show because she directed it with so much heart. These kids, they were just in love with each other and with the piece, and it was so well done. And Chris Patrick was off the chain.
Well,
Yeah, it's
amazing.
It's true, and I think that that's another great reason why that some of these teen shows are so stellar, because, as you know, Brie has like an infinite supply of both empathy and talent.
Yeah.
So
and energy.
And energy, yeah. So she can meet anybody where they are and help them get to, and in this case, to a fabulous performance, but help them get to where they need to be.
The concept of this show was so bizarre that if it didn't have heart, it just would have been ridiculous. And she went for the truth of it rather than the camp. She stayed away from the camp, and the camp was there anyway. And it just rang. It was so amazing.
it was awesome. I mean, I remember.
Blew my mind.
I think I had tears.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean,
It was really, really
it's
moving.
always lovely to see young kids, performing their hearts out and just nailing it. It was really great.
And Morgan Meadows, who's the third, we'll get back to her. Oh, good. Thank you, Shannon. She's the third girl as you're looking at the picture on the left. She was amazing. I remember she was like the second lead, I think. And she had a brilliant voice, and she was really funny. And years later, I was in Richmond doing a show called We Three Lizas, which we won't even talk about. But she was in it, and we started talking about the fact that I said, I know you. And she said, well, I did a show at Live Arts. And I was like, oh my God. So it was this whole kind of full circle, 6 degrees of separation. That was really amazing. And she really is a gifted performer. So it was really amazing. Anyway, a little side story.
Denise Stewart.
Yeah, baby. Force of
Not-
nature.
You know, it said on that poster that it was backed by popular demand, and it really was, because this is I always want to say near perfect. Why do I want to say that? A perfect one-woman show. It is excellently performed. It's personal, and yet it's universal, and yet it can only be told by Denise, who created it and performed it. And people loved the show, and they wanted to see it again. And when people talked to other friends about the show, they wanted to come back. I'm sorry, some of these pictures just make me laugh.
I know. She's so insane and brilliant.
And she went to Edinburgh, right?
Yeah.
And she took the show to Edinburgh, yeah, in 2012, and performed the entire month of August at Assembly Hall. And it's great. She's fantastic. I remember, speaking of Bree and Denise, the she just makes me laugh. But it was like Anton and Show Business.
Yeah.
I guess
In the Founders
summer
with the
festival
summer
or
shorts,
something, and I saw it. And Denise, I didn't really know that many people yet, and I saw Denise in the show, and I was like, I have to work with that woman because she's fantastic.
I wish you'd seen her in Chemistry of Change, which was in the old space. I can't even remember the year now, but Betsy directed it. Cindy Burke, Satch was in it. It was Denise's you remember that. Denise's very first show. And I remember, and she was, I think, at UVA at the time. So I think she was still in either a grad or an undergrad. I can't remember. But whatever, she blew me away. I remember thinking, oh, that's a force. And she has just continued to be.
So kudos to Denise, also kudos to Live Arts for saying, hey, we have a very, very powerful performer right here. We don't have to have a Broadway writer to write this show. We can, if we have the talent here, we'll find a place for that talent to shine here. It's just it's just great to have Live Arts in Charlottesville, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Corey Joe just texted me and said that she reminded me that Edwina Herring was in 6 Degrees of Separation, which I completely spaced looking at the cast list. As Corey said, in her hot cop outfit. I remember that. Now I remember her coming in as the cop.
Right.
And she was great. Edwina wasn't she the stage manager on Drowsy?
Yeah, stage manager on Drowsy. Yeah.
She had her hands full.
Let's bring Ed and Gary in.
Yeah, let's bring Ed and Gary in. 2 more fantastic Charlottesville thespians.
Are we
hello.
Mahayam.
Cheers, friends. Hello.
Cheers.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Show that drinks together. This is Gary and Edward Warwick White. Hey guys, how you doing?
Great.
Nice to see you. Sharing a camera.
There we go.
Earlier we got to hear from Doug and Jane about how they got involved with Live Arts, and so I'd love to hear from each of you individually, and then your story from how you got involved to now. In 2 minutes.
My
I'm kidding.
1 second.
Edited.
So my first show at Live Arts was in 2004. I was in Wintertime, that Betsy Tucker directed. She asked me to come audition because there was a character in the show who would randomly burst into song, and for some reason she thought that I would be good at that. So I did that. I was 19 years old. I was figuring that out.
Are you really?
Yeah, 19. And then after that, I did a couple of Sondheim shows. I did A Little Night Music in 2007, and Sweeney Todd in 2008, and then Drowsy Chaperone in 2010, and recently came back to Live Arts after a 8-year hiatus to do Ragtime.
I want to interrupt you really quick and tell a quick Sweeney Todd thing. That Lydia and I would wait kind of at the back of the theater. We had to make an entrance, and you would be singing Joanna. And I remember Lydia turned to me one night and said, you know, it was worth it just to do this show to hear Gary Warwick White sing Joanna. Every night. It was the truth. You're amazing.
Truth.
Very sweet. Yeah. Awesome. So
The Drowsy Chaperone, as Doug said earlier, was my very first show at Live Arts in Charlottesville, and my first show after an 8-year hiatus as well. Did the college and grad school thing, didn't major in theater, so didn't audition for anything, and was working at UVA, where I still work, and was looking to get back into it and make some new friends, and saw the audition announcement on the old website for the Drowsy Chaperone, and paced outside in front of the building. Almost didn't go in, but did go in. Did audition.
Wow.
And the rest is history. So did Drowsy Chaperone. What's that?
Alligator pants.
Alligator pants. There you go. Critter shorts.
Sure.
So did the Drowsy Chaperone, and then I went right in and did the summer shorts that summer, which was really funny. There was a shortage of men that year, so I ended up in like all of them. Locally written playwright shorts, including one that was written for a woman that they rewrote to be for me because they didn't have anybody to do this monologue. I was in all the summer shorts that summer, wearing my shorts, and then came back, did another big musical, did Les Mis in 2014, met a lot of great people, and then got to assistant direct Xanadu with the amazing John Davenport, who came to town and shared his talents, and just learned a ton from him about directing.
That was a great show.
Oh,
That
so
was
fun.
a great show.
No injuries on roller skates. All those.
I know, and an amazing cast.
Amazing cast. And then most recently, also with Gary, did Ragtime. So that's my last.
And you were brilliant. God, that was you played. Didn't you play like several parts in that?
I did. Lots of different hats.
But you were
Lots of unsavory folks.
Henry Conklin. Is that his name?
Henry Ford, and then Willie Conklin.
Willie Conklin. Yeah. Oh my God, you were so good. Oh.
Yeah. So there you go.
Seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we met at Drowsy Chaperone, of course. We literally sat next to each other at the very first rehearsal. There is a picture of that.
There it is.
Ray
There's that.
and took this photo before we started our first read through, and so we've got literally a picture of the moment that we met, which is kind of great.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
Incredible. That's me in the orange baseball cap, pretending to read my script because I didn't know anybody. That was one thing I would say. Like I was a little bit of a fangirl because I'd seen a lot of these people on stage. I'd seen Doug and Lydia do a heritage cabaret the summer they did Sound of Music. You guys sang Little Priest.
Oh, that's right.
The small Helms or whatever the theater is there.
Yeah, the Helms.
Seen Jane at another theater. I'd seen a lot of these folks, but everybody knew each other. So it was like this major cast reunion. But the thing I remember was just like both Doug and Gary were so kind to me, and just were like, hey, how are you doing, and welcome, and this is gonna be a lot of fun. And I just knew from then on it was just gonna be such a blast.
I was fascinated by your pants. You were wearing some really fun. You
think
always have the weirdest, funnest pants.
I think those pants had ducks and dogs, dogs chasing ducks.
It was animals. Yeah, it was a menagerie.
Fighting on your pants.
There you go.
I love the fact that it's Gary on one side and me on the other, and we are still
so close.
bestest friends. It's amazing.
There's Jane talking to Chris Patrick and Kristen Heiderstadt talking to John Carden.
Yeah.
Alice
And that's Pat. I think that's Pat Owen in the green.
And of course, and then the far corner next to John Carden, one of the best things, Ray Nedzel cast Mikey as the Supa.
Yes.
In the show.
Oh, perfect.
Mikey was working on the set, and there was a part for the Supa who comes in one scene to check the electricity. He's like, how do you like showbiz? You want to be in a show? And Mikey was just phenomenal.
And it was perfect. He had the New York accent. What's wrong here? And
He was
Pat's
funny.
not even acting. That was just him.
Oh, God.
Miss Saigon. Yeah, it was all good.
Saigon. I forgot about that. Oh my God.
It was,
that whole show was just such a hoot.
It was amazing. And I mean, kind of weird and fateful. And I mean, 10 years later, Edward and I are married. We got married in 2013.
Yes, we did.
We bought our first house together this week. That's kind of a
We've lived in houses since then. We just,
We've been homeless since Drowsy.
we've been living under the stairs at Live Arts.
yeah.
No, but no, it's
funny.
yeah, it's weird to look at these and think I mean
10 years.
like I said, it was just such a special group of people. I mean, obviously, but everyone that we met, I hold so much love in my heart for everyone who was a part of that show, cast, crew, musicians. It's just, yeah, it was just such an
All the
amazing
fun
time.
tips. I got to be so close with Kim. I mean,
Yeah.
Kim Hoffbacker. Oh my God.
Oh,
she was just the perfect Janet. I mean,
wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was the perfect Janet. She's just this effervescent, bubbly, fun, happy. You know, she was just.
Oh yeah, she was great. She was great. It's interesting. We talked about some of the auditions. I remember Edward shared his under his remembrance of how his audition was like. Fun Ray Nedzel audition. But
An adventure.
yeah, when Kim sang and I turned to John Carden and I said, can she sing this part? And John said, she can sing this part.
Oh, he was her biggest fan. I mean,
Yeah.
they'd been working together for a long time, all the way back at what was it? They did Little Shop of Horrors up at Port County, I think.
I remember that.
That was, I think, one of her first shows, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the first time I saw her out at Port County.
Yeah, I did Secret Garden with her in 2000.
I remember that.
Oh God, she was
John
so.
was in that as well. John
Brilliant.
Ingles and Heiderstadt. That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember being at callbacks, and I remember hearing Jane. I remember Jane going in, and I remember hearing you sing "I'm Still Here" from Follies.
Yeah, actually,
That was your audition song. That was not callbacks. That was audition.
Ray made me do it a whole bunch of times. Like,
That was the thing. That's like the Ray Nedzel trademark. He was. I sing my song.
Like an angry dog rolling around on the floor or something.
Mine was, he was like, all right, cool. Yeah. So neat. And then you probably did a couple lunges, and then you were like, all right, cool. So like go in the corner and sit on that stool and sing your song like Sad Cinderella. Like everyone's left for the ball and you're home by yourself. And I was like, okay. And then he had me go sit at the piano and accompany myself. And I was like, I don't want to be in the band. I what this is like, but the funny thing for me was to meet Gary, because Gary wasn't at callbacks. He was out of town, and I was called back for the part that Gary played, George the Best Man. And so then to meet Gary at the show, actual first rehearsal was really fun. Yeah. But I got to callbacks, and we'd gone through it and gotten to like the next round of guys, and Ray was like, "What?" He's like, "What? Who did I call you for?" And I was like, "The Best Man," and he was like. He's like, will you look at this pastry chef gangster stuff? And I mean, it kind of freaked me out because I'd prepared like the George song or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. And then it just, oh my God, fell in love with the pastry chefs and Nick Heiderstadt.
Oh my God, you guys were so great.
And I mean, that's the thing that's interesting about all this. Like, it jump started this like next chapter of my life. Like, and these people who weren't in my life before, who now were like just our family. Like, I mean, Nick and I, we were at each other's weddings. Like, there's not a thing I wouldn't do for Kristen and Nick. I mean, just the sweetest guy. Like, I felt like he was my like long lost brother, who I was just meant to meet and not just play these parts, but like have in my life, you know, forever. It's crazy how much I care about these people.
Well, that was the thing about that show, is that everybody worked so hard and so well together, and it wasn't just about my part. It was about the whole. It was about everything. And it was just this incredible experience. I said to Ray when we were talking before we ever started this, you know, this particular thing tonight, was I could keep doing that show. I could still be doing it right now if somebody wanted to do it again.
Well, we couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to get there and do it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people got there like hours early just to hang out. Like I mean, Ray's like, the show's at 8. Like it's 4:30, guys. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's backstage all the time.
Well, and it snowed one Wednesday. Like it snowed, and I remember Ray like drove all the way to Barbersville to pick up Kim Hoffacker and like Freddie Creek, so we could do the show. Like we were all figuring out like we didn't want to lose a single performance, and we did the show on a Wednesday night for like 30 people who and you would have thought the place was packed. Like they were the most appreciative. Like the place was shaking with laughter. People were so happy to be there, and we were so happy to do it. And we just couldn't stand the thought of not doing it, that we were like, we will get there. We will walk, we will crawl, we will do whatever. And it just, the air was sweeter when we were together. It just was special.
It was really good. Wow, I forgot about that. I had to borrow a Jeep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got picked up by an SUV that had 4-wheel drive because I couldn't get there.
And then on the way, I'm driving basically on snow and ice to get back to Live Arts with Kim, and she's telling me the story about how she was earlier in like college. She was in an accident on snow and ice, and totally like smashed her face in the windshield. I'm like,
not a good sign.
okay, but we can't do the show without Janet Van de Graaff.
No.
Yeah, it was. I had a great time. I think that it's time for our little special gift. We could talk about Drowsy forever, but Jane Scatena, who played Drowsy Chaperone, and I gotta say, Jane, when you came in to audition for Drowsy Chaperone, I was like, great, because because you need to have a drowsy chaperone in Drowsy Chaperone, and I was like, here she is. That's awesome. That's just made it made my day that you came and auditioned for that show. So anyway, 10 years ago, but Jane has recorded Drowsy's song for us.
Rousing number.
Shannon has put it to a little slideshow as a little treat for everyone to have a little trip down. Oh, and Doug.
And
Doug's going to introduce it as he did as Man in the Chair, because the Man in the Chair would introduce all of the actors that were coming to life for the audience, but also coming to life in his imagination. And he would stop the show and he would introduce the character, and then the show would go on.
Well, I would take the arm off of the record and everyone would freeze wherever they were. And then I would talk to the audience and tell them all about it. And so I'm going to do the little intro that goes into as we stumble along.
Okay,
For Beatrice Stockwell. Her name as an actress was Beatrice Stockwell, who played the Drowsy Chaperone. And yeah. All right. So now, Beatrice Stockwell was famous for her rousing anthems. She entertained and inspired the troops in every major world conflict up to and including the Falklands War. Of course, by that time, she was in her mid-80s and her anthems didn't so much rouse as stupefy. Still, she demanded that a rousing anthem be included in every show she ever did, even if it wasn't appropriate. But you just couldn't say no to her. Now that's star power.
As we stumble along our life's funny journey, as we stumble along into the blue, we look here and we look there, seeking answers anywhere, never sure of where to turn or what to do. Still we bumble our way through life's crazy labyrinth, barely knowing left from right, nor right from wrong. And the best that we can do is hope a bluebird will sing his song as we stumble along. It's a dismal little world in which we live. It can bore you till you've nothing left to give. 7 overrated wonders, 7 underwhelming seas, 6 excruciating continents, Antarctica. Oh, please. Still, you mustn't let it get you. This planet, oh, so bland. Keep your eyeball on the highball in your hand. As we stumble along, cross life's crowded dance floor, as we push and we shove, we live and we learn. And when we finally leave the bar and we see that Morning star, we pull our bootstraps up and homeward turn. Then we stumble away through dawn's blinding sunbeam, barely knowing right from right, nor left from wrong. But as long as we can hear that little bluebird, there'll be a song as we stumble along. As we stumble, mumble, plumble, as we
Oh,
Yay!
Wow.
Jane. Oh, that slideshow is. There's so many memories. I just want to make sure that Carrie Moran gets a shout out for that
Big
show
time.
because she did like she is wont to do, like everything and anything that was asked for her and more and more. We had so much was done for that show with Grady and Sarah Holdren and just people who are not even in the pictures or anything, just making.
I remember one night I walked into the theater with Matt Jocelyn. It was about midnight. We'd been out having a drink, and she was painting the floor at midnight. Carrie Moran. And she put all those Broadway posters all over the set. She asked me, she said, do you think that he'd have a lot of Broadway posters in his apartment? I'm like, the more the better.
Yep.
It was such a great effect. She was amazing. She is amazing.
I feel like you could walk into a theater at midnight on a most
Oh, my
Carrie
God.
Moran would be there painting the floor.
Probably.
What are you wearing? I love that.
Yes.
Most incredible artists and volunteers.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the same thing as all the people that were working behind the scenes were incredible. Edwina and Ann Talbot, page managers, like, oh my God.
Dressers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the drawers.
You all have your bling on. I need my bling.
I'm not wearing any bling because.
But look,
Me either. Man and Chair wouldn't have any. Oh,
Drowsy chaperone.
the drowsy chaperone.
I feel like we should do a split take all together or something.
We should do a what? A spit take? Yes.
Spit take.
Ken Waller and Linda Zuby,
should.
the spit take from
From
heaven.
heaven.
Oh my God, Ken Waller. Now we can talk about him for about
Underling.
4 hours.
Oh my God.
Underling.
Yeah.
Even though I
Yes.
think passed me a martini with no dialogue, but so much fun.
Brilliant.
Most incredible deadpan.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, and here you are, you know, in Charlottesville, Virginia, this man who was on Broadway for all of his career, you know, he comes, he does these shows, he loves these theaters, you know, he gives his time 100%, and he was just always brilliant and always kind.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just an amazing person. He and his wife, Linda. She did a lot of shows at Live Arts. She did a couple of things.
Yeah. Well, it's been amazing to I should say, Edward, could you say what you're wearing? What
I
you were
love
wearing?
that. I just saw that.
I had on my chef. I was thinking the other day, I was like, I had that ridiculous accent in the show.
I don't-
Like,
yeah.
it's Jerry Lewis, like, you know, and a certain individual. Like, and I think we just did it one night, and then you were like, keep it. Like,
Keep it.
I was like,
Keep
okay.
it. It was great. Yeah, they were gangsters
Funny.
/ bakers.
And we had all those ridiculous baking puns, like, you biscotta be kidding me, and
One cannoli.
one
hoe.
cannoli hope.
Yeah.
You know?
God, I've forgotten all this.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you for the show. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the love. As I see Jane and Doug, who were like, you know, pillars of the live arts and the performing community when I arrived. And now I see that Gary and Edward, you are pillars of the community now. Tons of good work, tons of great work, and tons of like encouragement for other people, you know, sharing your gifts. It's just my life is better for knowing all of you.
Oh, Ray, thank you.
Likewise, Ray.
Yeah.
Likewise, very much.
You gave us like the most incredible gift with this show.
Yep, you did.
Changed our lives.
Truly, yeah.
Yeah.
The best memory. The best.
Well,
I
man.
mean, yeah. It
So
was-
join us tomorrow night.
Good luck with this.
Join us tomorrow night at Live Arts 30 and 30, where we will be joined by former executive director Matt Joslin, and we will be talking about the season 2011 to 2012, which includes the producers. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Bye.
Love you,
too.
Ray. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, Jane.